This story is called Danger, Earthquakes. The ground beneath your feet may seem solid, but earthquakes make the ground shake and roll. There's a picture. Most earthquakes last a minute or less, yet they cause more damage than any other natural disaster. Earthquakes can knock down buildings and wreck highways. They can destroy whole cities and towns. Each year, there are about 1 million earthquakes around the world, but only about 100 of these cause much damage. Fewer than 20 result in deaths. The Mercalli scale tells us how much damage an earthquake caused. You would not feel a level 1 quake. Windows break at level 5. Level 12 is the worst. Everything is totally destroyed. The earthquake that shook San Francisco in October 1989 measured 7.1 on the Richter scale. On the Mercalli scale, it measured from 6 to 11 in different parts of the city. Most of the world's earthquakes happen in a zone called the Pacific Ring of Fire. You can see where the red dots are. That's where they mostly occur. They don't usually occur where we live. So that's the Pacific Ring of Fire. And as you can see, California would be over here in North America, and we live in Pennsylvania over here. So the red dots were the places most major earthquakes have hit in the last 30 years, and the dark blue area is the Ring of Fire. Most earthquakes begin in the Earth's crust. The crust is a layer of rocks that covers the Earth. It is 5 to 30 miles deep. Cracks in the rocks run through the crust. These are called fault zones. The rocks on one side of a crack push against the rocks on the other side. The rocks may stay in place for years, but then they suddenly slide past each other. What makes the rocks move? The answer lies below the crust, in the mantle. The mantle is a 2,000-mile thick layer of melted rock. Over millions of years, movements in the mantle have cracked the crust into huge floating pieces called plates. These plates grind past each other at about 2 inches per year. That's about as fast as your fingernails grow. The layers of rock in this photo folded because of movements in the mantle. The San Andreas Fault lies between the North American and the Pacific plates. It runs for 700 miles through Southern California to just north of San Francisco. Each year, California has about 35,000 earthquakes. Most are too small to be felt. Less than 100 measure 4 or more on the Richter scale. Alaska has more earthquakes than any other state. Alaska has a magnitude 7 earthquake almost every year. Earthquakes also occur in the central United States. In 1811, an 8+ quake shook the Mississippi Valley. It caused church bells to ring in Boston, nearly 1,000 miles away. The most violent earthquake ever recorded in the United States took place in Anchorage, Alaska in March 1964. The quake measured 8.4 on the Richter scale and 10 on the Mercalli scale. Cracks in the earth up to 30 feet wide opened like giant jaws. Nearby ports were completely destroyed by huge sea waves. More than 100 people died. In September 1985, an S1 earthquake struck Mexico City. The quake was more powerful than 1,000 atomic bombs. Nearly 10,000 people were killed. Hundreds of buildings were destroyed. Since then, stronger buildings have been erected. These new buildings are much safer. Some buildings remain standing during a strong earthquake, while others nearby collapse. Building on steep hillsides or on loose soil is dangerous. It is safer to build a house on flat land and solid rock. The safest buildings can bend back and forth without breaking. Here's a picture of the United States. There we go. If you look here, earthquake zones in the United States. So the lightest yellow means there's no danger, no damage. Light orange is minor, then moderate, then red is major. So we live here, Pennsylvania, and so we're under the minor category, which is not bad. Nothing to worry about where we live. Scientists use machines that can measure and record earthquake activity. They can also tell us where earthquakes are likely to strike. But they cannot yet tell us exactly when, where, or how big an earthquake will be. Here is what to do if you are in an earthquake. If you are indoors, stay there. Take cover under a sturdy table, desk, or bed. Stay away from windows, mirrors, and high cabinets. If you are outdoors, move away from power lines and tall buildings. No one can prevent earthquakes, but in the future, we will be able to reduce the damage they cause.